Have you ever considered how emotional experiences compare to songs? Both are dynamic, changing over time, complex, synthesizing many components into a seemingly single event, and subjective, providing a significance which is profoundly colored by the individual. These similarities allow us to learn about music through emotion and emotion through music. My name is Perales, and I am the founder of Regulation Beats. I took these principles in my education as an occupational therapy practitioner to develop a set of tools and interventions which aid people in organizing their mental health so they may make better decisions and engage in a more meaningful life. To do this, we start by transcribing the components of an emotional state into a beat or a song. Let me show you what I mean. Take the heartbeat, for example, a physiological ingredient for an emotional state. We are evolutionarily entrained to have this function based on the situations we face and actions our brains and bodies anticipate us needing to take. Other aspects of our being which work similarly include our breathing and our thinking. When transitioning these to sound, I like to use instruments with corresponding sonic qualities. A deep, low-end kick drum works well to represent the heart, while high-frequency percussion instruments, such as hi-hats or cymbals, provide a good depiction for the breath. When personifying psychological elements, I like instruments which, in our culture, are commonly selected for melodies. These may include pianos, saxophones, guitars, and more. Serving as the focal point of the song, they provide tunes which impress like the narrative of our inner dialogue. Are ideas racing through the mind? Or drifting by slowly? Do they consume our aperture of focus? Or float on with ease? Let's find a melody or motif to capture this. There is, however, an additional cognitive representation worthy of inclusion. Ideas in the brain function not only through the thoughts that we actively work with, but by the many associations, experiences, and opinions which we've engaged with before. Brains form grandiose summaries and ideas which form the foundations of our perception. Ideas which give present concepts a rhythm to ride on. Chord progressions, which are a series of note sets, give a like stability to music. They are intuitive and tell a story far greater than their individual parts. Next, we can consider how the external environment plays an equally important role in emotion development. Sensory inputs such as sight, smells, taste, touch, pressure, tilting, and sounds are the only materials our neural anatomy can interact with to predict what is going on in the world. For this reason, it is beneficial to capture an audio recorded element and include it in the track. This may be the sound of a voice.
This could be the sound of a voice.
What?
Background noise. Or an object. Related to the emotional state. Finally, we can think about energy and how it affects emotions. When looking at sadness, we can consider how a high energy sadness may present as someone kneeling on the ground, crying, screaming, maybe throwing something. They may identify with labels such as overwhelmed, distraught, or despair. While low energy sadness may present as someone lying in bed, not moving at all. They may identify more so with labels such as numb or withdrawn. Energy affects not only how we express and experience emotions, but how we regulate them as well. When considering our musical composition, I like to use tempo, or the speed of the song, to represent this generalized energetic influence. Now that we have transcribed a few of our ingredients, we can combine them into their cohesive form just as they are perceived naturally. And as I put together the parts of this song, I want everybody to sit and reflect on the comparisons that we just drew and consider how you can, in a very similar way, construct your emotions. Intentionally working through the production process guides our scope of attention to see emotional states on different levels of specificity and granularity. Developing refined awareness is critical for regulated emotions because it is through minor surgical adjustments that we are able to make realistic shifts in our being. As I go through the next section of the talk here, I would like to mention that the individuals I'm discussing are real clients with real challenges, real diagnoses, real skills, and real successes. Their names, however, have been changed to respect the integrity of their treatment. These are the skills that helped Trey, an 8-year-old boy with autism and ADHD, tolerate a stressful visit to the doctors. On this day, he was feeling nervous, anticipatory, and heightened from the uncertainty of his appointment. Rather than overgeneralizing this as negative and threatening, Trey was able to detect, then articulate to his parents that getting up and moving around would help him regulate these sensations. Here is a short sample from a song that Trey made during the course of his treatment. This is called Outside in the Backyard Today. I love that when you could definitely hear that very strong heartbeat that you would imagine a kid is experiencing if they're outside playing. And the like clinking sound in there was like a zip line thing for a dog leash that they had in the backyard. So it was cool to pull in something from his actual environment. For Laura, an 18-year-old girl with anxiety, OCD, and autism, these tools gave her an accelerated avenue for expressing and engaging with challenging emotions. Since starting treatment, her caregiver has frequently reported that Laura has been able to better identify, articulate, and tolerate her emotional experiences. Additionally, she has been initiating these discussions herself, demonstrating a great trajectory toward independence. It doesn't hurt either that she is an insanely huge 80s music fan, and I think 90% of the time I've ever seen her, she is wearing the exact same MTV t-shirt. Here is a sample of a song that Laura made called Great Feelings. Tyler, a neurotypical 28-year-old male, works as a manager at a cybersecurity company. He was creating a song about his current emotional state and exploring how his thoughts and feelings can rapidly shift from present and enjoyable to worrisome. As we were working through the music creation process, he harped on the off-putting nature of a particular section and repeatedly prompted me to change it. To which I replied, I will change this, but first, is this how you've been feeling? He exclaimed in revelation and joked about the almost sneaky nature of the intervention. He was so enthralled with the tools, materials, and sounds that he was able to flow through self-reflection, buffered from the dysregulation he was actively describing. Here is a sample of the song that Tyler made on that exact session. And of course, all of this stuff, like I've been highlighting, is very subjective, but that song is cool because objectively, I think you can very much hear that switch that he was describing on that deck. As a mental health care practitioner, introducing music production tools into my repertoire has completely changed how I approach emotion-based challenges. Most prevalently, I lead with a far greater emphasis on complexity. Individual labels such as angry, mad, happy, sad, they in themselves are severely insufficient to comprehensively describe what a person is going through. They are general and broad. However, most often, our first response when somebody asks, "How are you feeling today?" Music allows us to digest a whole set of emotional factors simultaneously and intuitively. It is a language that corresponds far more accurately to the subjectivity, dynamics, and complexity of emotional states, more so than any individual label could. Emotional states are like songs. They give shape to our perception and motion to our actions. Understanding them helps us better understand ourselves, the reasons we make the decisions we do, and the people we ultimately end up becoming. As you go about the rest of your day, ponder what this simile means to you. Consider what you can learn from it and how it may help others better learn about you. Thank you.